Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Gonna read through the full article here. It's very heinous. Excuse me. I'll give a trigger warning. About midway through, there will be details concerning the abuse faced by 9 children aged 3 to 17 at the hands of the mother, this scumbag here, and the stepdad. They've both gone through a trial, they've both been found guilty, and they've both been given sentences which are frankly extremely long, and that's a good thing. In my mind, that's a good thing. Well done, the state of Georgia, for imposing such excessively long, I shouldn't use the word excessively, but such long prison sentences. So we'll have a look at that. Of course, our prayers and thoughts go to all of the children concerned, 9 of them, that have suffered for years of abuse. They are in care at this stage. I believe at least one of the children may have become an adult at this point, maybe a couple of them. But the minors are being given full treatment, and apparently they're developing very, very well. They're coping with the suffering that they faced very, very well. In fact, they say the children have said it's really the betrayal of the betrayal from their parents that hurts them more than the actual physical abuse. So we're going to have a look through the details. A Georgia mother was sentenced to 200 years in prison for forcing her 9 children to live in squalor and allowing her husband to abuse them mercilessly for years. The Cherokee County District Attorney's Office announced 37-year-old Stephanie Danielle Davis's sentence. So this scumbag here, the mother, and this is the stepfather. So the mother's sentence was 200 years in prison, and on top of that, 200 years probation. So I'm not sure if she's going to need the 200 years probation. I think the 200 years in prison is ample, would be my thought. But again, I applaud Georgia for such strong, harsh, so it's probably not the right word, but such strong and lengthy prison sentences. It means that we can be confident that the both of them are going to be spending the rest of their days behind bars. We can be confident of that. In a lot of other cases, a lot of other states, a lot of other countries, we can't be confident of that. You know, Star Hobson, the mother, her sentence, I'm going off the top of my head, I think 8 years. Was it 8 years, 8.5 years? You know, that's pathetically low. So I applaud Georgia for imposing 200 years in prison for the mother. The stepfather was sentenced in January to 2 life sentences plus 841 years in prison. That's right, 841 years in prison and 40 years probation. So that scumbag's name is Christopher Matthew Davis. He was found guilty on 47 separate charges. So ongoing abuse, many incidences. The mother pleaded guilty to 42 charges. So again, ongoing abuse, multiple incidences against all of the children aged 3 to 17. So I'm going to read through the following part, and as I say, trigger warning comes into effect at this point. There will be details concerning the abuse, the torture, the beatings of the children. The district attorney's office said the stepfather locked the children in a closet with no heat or bathroom, strangled them until they passed out, forced them to sit on fire ant piles of fire ants, and burned them with miscellaneous items like sparklers and hot oil. The children, who ranged in age from 3 to 17, were given limited amounts of food and water, forced to eat spoiled or rotten food, had inadequate clothing, and lacked bedding. When the parents left the home, the children were locked upstairs. So very, very horrendous treatment, abuse, physical abuse, torture, not giving them enough food, forcing them to eat spoiled food. So the article tells us that in 2019, when the children were attending a school in Gordon County, school officials reported suspected abuse to the Georgia Division of Family and Children Services, DFCS. It's not clear if the agency pursued the case very far, and the mother pulled the children out of school at that point. So seemingly the DFCS, Division of Family and Children Services, did get involved. They enacted some level of investigation, but there's a question mark as to whether or not they did a good enough job, a thorough enough job. And I would say, given that the abuse to all of the children, 9 children, continued, I would say that they didn't do a good enough job. I would say that quite clearly they failed. That would be my take on it. I could be entirely wrong, entirely unfair. I can't say that for sure, but that would be my take on it. And we would hope that there are adequate investigations into what happened at the DFCS in regards to this case, and we would hope that if it is possible to identify any shortcomings, that number one, those shortcomings are addressed, and number two, they're rectified. They're moving forward. Such omissions shouldn't occur. So we would hope that improvements are put in place, but at the same time, perhaps restitution to some extent is appropriate, but I don't know. Let's move on from that point. A year later, in February 2020, a teen boy escaped the house and reported to the Calhoun Police Department that the stepfather slapped and punched him, hit him with a stick, strangled him, burnt him with hot oil, locked him in a closet, and beat him with a belt and a wooden cane. So one of the boys escaped and was able to tell police that he was beaten extensively by the stepfather. A police report said that the child had visible injuries all over his head and body, as well as a broken eardrum. The mother initially said that she was a helpless victim to her husband, but the prosecutor said, and seemingly argued in court convincingly, that the evidence demonstrated her extensive involvement. And again, the mother pleaded guilty to 42 charges. So seems like initially she was claiming not guilty, she was a victim, but at some point she pleaded guilty, which I guess is a good thing, as it led to a 200-year prison sentence for her. So here's a quote from the prosecutor in regards to the mother's treatment of her 9 children. She not only held the children down whilst they were beaten and burned by her husband, but also crafted cover stories for the children to tell their teachers and the Department of Family and Child Services, if they were ever asked about their injuries. Her efforts to influence and manipulate the children to recant their allegations continued even after her arrest. So seemingly, after she was arrested, she was still trying to convince the children, force the children, tell the children to say that everything was fine at home, that nothing happened. The district attorney's office said that 2 of the children testified at the mother's sentencing hearing, telling the court, and this is a quote from 2 of the children, that the physical wounds and suffering they experienced were painful, but the betrayal of their own mother left deeper wounds that will take much longer to heal. How true is that? Perhaps we know from our own experience that how true that would be, to be betrayed by your parents in this way, to be treated like an animal, really, to be beaten, starved, forced to eat spoiled food, not clothed, just tortured from an extremely young age, perhaps from birth all the way through. And seeing your siblings suffer the same or similar treatment. You know, how helpless would you feel? And yeah, how betrayed would you be? You know, from your own family. If you go to school, and it seems like these children did go to school some of the time. If you go to school and you form an understanding of what a family is from your education and from your school mates, your school classmates, and you see your own family being so different to what the rest of us believe a family is, yeah, you would feel betrayed by life. And I would imagine that has a massive emotional and psychological effect. The article thankfully tells us that the minor children are now in foster homes, and that apparently they have demonstrated incredible resilience. These children are now able to live freely without fear and to rise above this trauma. That's a statement from the Cherokee County District Attorney. We hope that's true. We hope that's true. We hope that's not some twee words. We hope that the children, all of the children, are coping well with the massive trauma, the massive suffering that they faced. We hope that, we pray that for that to be the case. And what a disgusting case. So the mother, 37 years of age, she's got 200 years to spend in prison. And the stepfather, what an absolute fucking piece of shit. He faces 2 life sentences plus an additional 841 years in prison. And if he ever does get out of that, he's going to have 40 years of probation. So again, I applaud the state of Georgia. I think this is wonderful to have such lengthy jail sentences. It gives society assurance that justice is being served. So that's important for society, for a community. That's important for the children, I would think. I mean, perhaps the children are conflicted over this matter because it is their parents. But you would think that the victims would take comfort in the fact that the culprits are never going to get out of jail. They're never going to be able to repeat their offenses to anybody. So I would imagine that brings comfort. Maybe I'm wrong, but it would to a lot of people, I would think. So I welcome that. I applaud that. And we've got to remember that a lot of other states, a lot of other countries don't enact adequate sentencing. We're getting more aware of this. I think I'm right. I'm saying this off the top of my head. I might have this wrong, but I think the mother in Star Hobson's case, I think she only got 8.5 years in jail, if I remember correctly. I may have that wrong, but it for sure was not a lengthy jail period. That happened in the United Kingdom. The death of Star Hobson, who suffered abuse. I've got a video. It's on my playlist, and it is a tragic situation. So I personally applaud this very long sentencing. I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you for listening. If you like this video, do like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Check out a couple of other videos on the channel. I might start doing live streams at some point. If you want to comment on that to give me some encouragement or not, that would be good. But of course, we wish the best to all of the children affected by this. And again, thank you very much for your time.